Alright, here we go, moment of truth. Let's see what's going on with this thing. Alright, welcome back to the channel. Last video we picked up this 1985 ATC 200X. You can see right there in the VIN. And we picked it up for $11.50. If you guys missed the last video on it, go check it out. It's actually pretty cool because I actually bought it with no spark. I kind of figured I'd have to buy like a new CDI or stator for it, and it ended up being just a couple wires that were loose, or disconnected I should say, underneath the gas tank. So we reconnected those, and we got spark, and then we cleaned out the carburetor, and she fired right up. And we actually got to drive it around in the back over here yesterday. So the thing runs pretty good, drives pretty good, has good power. It's got 120 pounds of compression, which is pretty good for a 200. But one thing that was not so good was it does not go into fourth gear. Fourth gear acts as a neutral. So when you shift it into fourth gear, quick show you guys. I showed you guys this last video, but we can recap. So there's first, second, third, neutral. See, that's fourth. So for some reason, there's fifth. But if you go back into fourth, it acts as neutral. So I'm not really sure what's going on there. I looked at a couple forums and tried to find people with the same issue, but nobody really had the same issue. A lot of people had third gear go out, and they said third gear going out is pretty common on the 200Xs. They said the transmission little gear tab was made too thin and it wears out really fast. So maybe that happened to fourth gear, I'm not really sure. Or it could be like a shift fork or something along those lines, or the shift drum is messed up or something like that, but that's all internal in the engine. So either way, we're gonna have to tear this thing apart. We're going to probably start with the easiest thing and look behind the cover right here, just to make sure it's nothing like stupid, like the shift star or something that's messed up. So we'll take off this whole cover, drain out the oil, and start with that. Alright, we'll come to the left side of the machine here, and we can see right there is the drain bolt for the oil. So we'll get that off first, drain out the oil. Go. This will tell us if there's anything in the transmission. It'll be all metallic-y. Let's see here. There's a spring in there. Nothing too metallic-y so far. Maybe a couple of metallic marks over here on this side. You can see in the oil, kind of sparkling in the light. So there's definitely metallic-y pieces. Not a ton, not any big chunks or anything, but there's something. So something must be worn out or rubbing in there for sure. Alright, let's try to get this cover off next. We disconnected the clutch cable from right there. We gotta get this brake off right here, and then the foot peg off, I bet, so that we can get the kickstart off. So let's work on that. Looks like a couple 14 millimeters and a 12 millimeter. This little guy has to come off. Looks like a 12 mil. That little guy goes on there. That must be like a cap of some sort. That goes on right there. Does this whole thing come off too? Brake lever comes off there. Just like that. It's pretty cool. Let's take a look underneath this cover first. This looks like the kickstart mechanism. I think all the bolts are off. So I'll start breaking apart these on the cover. Let's see what happens. Must be missing one or something. Alright, got this to pop off of here. Let's see what's going on in here. This looks kind of complicated. This is the kickstart mechanism. So that one goes there. There's a little dot right there that must line up with that dot right there. Okay. And this one goes with a washer on the back of it, like that. Okay. Pull out. Doesn't look like it. No metal shavings in there. Doesn't look like it so far. Oh, actually, yeah. Look at all those. Huh. Quite a few metal shavings underneath there. Look at that. It's like all metallic. Huh. Wow. I think we got her off of here. Alright. You can see the metallic flakes in there. Something must be grinding somewhere. There's some excessive play in the clutch. I don't know if that's normal or not. There's quite a bit of play. We're going to try to get the clutch off. And this guy off. I believe you need these 3 screws off to take that off. Never taken apart one of these before, so this is new to me as well. Ooh, that's pretty metallic-y in there. That's not super good. Look right here. Ooh, well, that's some metallic-ies. Huh, so that's quite a bit of metal coming out of there. I don't know what that would be from. Let's see. That's all metallic right there. So big chunks of metallic. That's not good. Alright, we'll dig further into this. Alright, the nut in there is a lock nut, and it takes a special kind of socket. It's called a spanner socket, and that's what it looks like. It's got the 4 little knobs on it. So that's gonna fit right in there. Hopefully that'll spin it right off here. And it did. Okay. That's what it looks like. Comes off of there. And that comes off. There's a little washer in there as well, looks like. And then there's going to be one on the clutch too. A lock nut like that requires a spanner. And I believe that's the 20 millimeter. So this is the 24 millimeter side. And this is the 20 millimeter. So I bought this off of Amazon, I think for like $9. Pretty cheap. Piece of hot. That popped right off of there. Alright. And you can see the other lock nut on there. So that's going to require, I believe, a different size. Maybe not. Maybe it's the same size. It looks like it's the same size. That looks like for the clutch. Looks like there's a washer on here. It says out on it, so you know which way it goes. I believe this whole clutch mechanism can come right off. I think, anyway. Might be a washer behind there. And yeah, there's a washer. That. And the whole clutch basket can come off. Let's see what's going on here. I don't see too much wrong with it. Everything looks pretty smooth. At least in here. We'll have to take a look at the little star on the shifter, see what's going on with that. Alright, the shift shaft is coming out. We'll be able to look at it a little bit closer here. Doesn't look bent or anything, so that's good. Everything looks pretty good. So I don't think that was the problem. There's no sharp metal or doesn't look like anything's out of place. Let's take a look in here. Everything looks good with the star. The shift star. Nothing looks out of place there. Everything moves there perfectly. So it must be internal. So we're gonna have to split the cases and see what's going on with the transmission, because it's just, that's 4th gear and that seems like neutral. All right, we're in 4th gear right now. You can hear it kinda, it's trying to grab, but it's just not doing it. It's almost like the gears in there are just like stripped out. You can hear it. So it acts as a neutral. But then you can shift it right into 5th gear. And it clicks right into place. It's very odd. And then shift it back down into 4th. You can hear it kind of try to grab. Alright, we got the header pipe off right here. That was going up to the silencer. Now we gotta get the carburetor off, and then we can get the mount off right here. And then we can start disassembling the valve cover. So there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I believe there's 8 bolts that hold that on. And then we'll go from there. So let's get that carburetor off next. All right, let's take off this cover right here. It says CDI on it. All right, that looks like the pickup coil. Basically, right there. You can see like a little timing plate, and when that comes around it tells it when to spark. So that's all that is. Alright, then that can go over here. Alright, time for the valve cover bolts. Just 12mm. Alright, all the bolts are off. Let's see if the valve cover comes off of here. Looks like the engine might need to be taken out of the frame in order to get the valve cover off. So let's get the engine out of the frame and start working on it. All right, let's see if the engine can come out of the frame. I believe everything is disconnected. See if we can get her out of here. Might be a little challenging. Ooh. Pretty light, actually. Not too heavy. Alright, let's see if the valve cover comes off now. Now that we got this engine out of the frame here. I really need an engine stand, but I don't have one. Rockers are good. So this guy was on here, and there's a little groove right in there that lines up with the pin. Let's see it right. Where is it? Hopefully it didn't fall in. Right there. You can see the pin right there. That lines up with that, so that's how you know that's on there correctly. But the bolt for the tensioner was right here. So this bolt held on the tensioner right there. So we got that off. We got all these things off. I'm just gonna slide this back on so you guys can see what that looks like. Lines up with the pin right there. And then this bolt goes in here like that. And this guy goes into that slot right there. So this pin goes right into here like that. Alright, that's off. Let's see if the head comes off here now. Two baby valves in there. Looking pretty good. Cylinder's got a couple scratches on it, I can see. See those lines going down? So it definitely needs to be honed out. Nothing crazy, but a little hone needs to go in there, and probably some new rings. Otherwise it doesn't look too bad. You can see the piston looks pretty decent all the way around. The rings are all open. I was expecting some rings to be closed. On the back side you can see a couple scratches on the piston. But that's probably why I had a little bit lower compression. But it doesn't look too bad overall. We're going to get the piston off, and then we're going to get this side cover off and the stator off, and then we'll try to attempt to split the cases. Alright, the crank is super tight. 0 up and down, and then just barely any side to side. So that crank is really good. Looking good so far. Alright, stator is off. Looking pretty good. This actually allows oil in the stator, so it's a wet stator and flywheel. The flywheel looks good, everything looks pretty good on this thing. So let's crank off that flywheel. Hopefully I have a flywheel puller for it. Alright, looked around for a flywheel puller, and of course I don't have the correct one, so we need to order up one for that. And then it's gotta fit down that little hole. So we won't be able to split the case until I get that, so we'll resume once I get that. Alright, had to wait a week for this flywheel puller. Hopefully it's the correct one. Said it was in the description of when I bought it, so hopefully it works. This is the one I had. I don't know what that's for, but that was a little bit too big, you could see. Not much. So let's just see if this works before I tell you what the size is. I think it's a... oh yeah, that's gonna work. Just a normal right hand thread here. So the size is 14 by 1.5 is what you're gonna want if you're getting the flywheel off of a 200X. Alright, we got the bolt off. Let's see if we can get the flywheel off of here. See what happens here. That popped right off. No problem. There's the flywheel. Alright, now we can see the timing chain and everything in there. We gotta get the thing that holds the tensioner on. So we gotta get this bolt out of here. It looks like right up here. And then this one right here, looks like that holds that on, then holds part of the tensioner on. Let's get that off. All right, let's get all the bolts around the perimeter so we can split the case. Alright, let's get our tusk case splitter out. We're going to put this like that. Alright. What are we doing right there? Hopefully we got everything off that we needed to. Whew. That was a big pop. Alright, she's coming now. Alright, here we go, moment of truth. Let's see what's going on with this thing. I can hear something falling in there. Hopefully it didn't break anything. Alright, you can see the case half is pretty decent. Nothing going on with that. Let's see what the bearings feel like. Bearings feel really good. Everything looks good in there. Really no metal chunks either. Huh. That would be something if it was nothing. Oh, look at that gear ground right down back there. This one. Look at how ground down that is. And this one. Holy cow. Look at those gears in there. Just completely ground down. Look at. That's why it's not catching. That's fourth gear right there. See how it can't catch onto this gear right here. It's just completely ground down. That's crazy. And these are really ground down too. Well, that's the problem. Ground down gear. So we need a whole new transmission, it looks like. Because if you buy each individual gear, they're like $100. So the whole new used transmission's like $150. So I think that's the better option. But yeah, that's crazy. That is insane. Look how ground down that is. There's gotta be a ton of metal chunks in here. Unless it all went out through there. And that's why we saw so much metallic. But crank is really smooth. Bearings are really smooth on the crank. So crank is great. That is pretty insane though. I've never seen a gear ground down that much. All right, well, we're gonna order up the transmission and try to get this thing fixed up. So hopefully we can find one on eBay for cheap enough, and then we gotta get the, let's see, we've gotta get piston rings. Let's see, where's the piston over here? We need some piston rings for it, possibly, and then a top end gasket kit, and then everything else looks good. Valves are good. All the bearings are good, and we gotta hone the cylinder out as well. A couple scratches on the cylinder. Not very deep, but you can see them going down. So, stay tuned for next video. Should be pretty fun, and then we can finally ride this thing and go through all the gears. Alright guys, stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching guys, thanks for subscribing, and until next time, we are out.